Good afternoon, and thank you for joining today's webinar on e-commerce trends in 2013. My name is Rola Wakim, and I'll be today's moderator. The presentation will be approximately 40 minutes, followed by a 10-minute Q&A. Your lines have been muted. If you have any questions, please input them throughout the presentation into the questions panel on the right-hand side of your screen. We have joining us today Randy Fougere, Senior Vice President of Sales and Marketing from Tenzing Managed IT Services. And joining him, our guest speaker, Rosalina Lin-Allen, Director of Strategy at Delvinia. Ros is a seasoned digital strategist. She has advised numerous organizations on how to entice prospects through the sales funnel and how to integrate web digital channel into the omni-channel mix. We do have a full agenda, so at this time I'm going to hand things off to Randy, and we can jump right in. Randy?
Thank you, Rola, and thank all of you for joining us today. And I also want to extend a special thanks to Roz for helping us out with this webinar. There's some great content that you're going to see momentarily, and we're very excited to walk through it with you. Before we do that, a couple of things on the agenda item. First, for those who don't know Tenzing, I'm going to do a brief overview on our company, and I'll just keep that to a very few minutes. And then I think Roz is going to do the same about her company, Delvinia, who are our content and expertise providers today, and then we'll move right into the heart of some of the material regarding trends for 2013. So first of all, for those who don't know us, Tenzing is a hosting provider specialized in really mission-critical applications. So e-commerce being a core one of those applications, software as a service, and enterprise web applications, which again are more back-office applications that are really integral to an organization's functioning. We work collaboratively with our customers to achieve their goals, and we really utilize ITIL, which is a methodology that really helps us document and get very process-oriented in terms of change management, incident management, and really how we run the business. We've got a comprehensive portfolio of services that complement our hosting services, things like DOS mitigation, application performance management, load testing, and others. So we really are centered around how to make applications run effectively, perform well, and obviously be very safe and secure. A couple of company highlights. We've been around since 1998. We are privately owned. We have 400 customers supported by 70 employees. And that makes us really big enough to handle even the most complex application, but it still allows us the luxury of providing high-touch support and still maintain cost competitiveness. We've got a lot of, probably 80% of our clients are e-commerce and software as a service clients. And through that, we've got a lot of customers that support some of the world's biggest brands, so major airlines, insurance companies, banks, very recognizable enterprise clients. And of course, that all means that it is mission critical and it needs to be running 24/7. In terms of certification and audits, this is an important aspect of our business. Due to the nature of the applications that we run, there's often sensitive data. So financial data, for example, health records is another area, private information. So to ensure that we're operating at the highest levels of data privacy and security, we go through annual audits that really make sure we're doing the right things the right way, that things are documented, and that it's a very disciplined process around how we manage our clients' data. So SSAE 16 Type 2 is one that we have. It's formerly SAS 70. ISO 27001 is a European and international standard that we also have, and there's very few providers that actually have both of those. We've taken that extra step. And we're also PCI compliant, which is very related to e-commerce and managing credit card transactions on behalf of your clients. In terms of e-commerce, we support all of the major platforms, so Oracle ATG, IBM Web Commerce, Magento, Hybris, and we also support a lot of clients that have actually written their own e-commerce stores and integrations through the years and have built their own platform. Part of our strategy is also to partner with leading e-commerce ecosystem providers. So there's an awful lot of partners that we have that surround, a core e-commerce store that integrate into their back office, that provide catalog, product information management, ERP, et cetera. So that is also an important aspect of our business. And of course, we have other partners like Delvinia that provide some excellent content in terms of, and expertise around, consulting and around the things that Roz is going to explain in a moment. So I will now pass it back to Roz and let her tell you a little bit about Delvinia, and I hope you enjoy the presentation today.
Thank you, Randy, and good afternoon, everyone. So as Randy had mentioned, I'd like to give you a sense of Delvinia before we go into the webinar. So like Tenzing, we were also founded in 1998, and we're a leading digital strategy and customer experience design consultancy here in Toronto. We focus on helping our clients innovate and enhance their customer experience, particularly transactional experiences, including e-commerce. So from a methodology standpoint, we deploy a customer-centric and insights-driven approach. So in addition to discovery activities such as stakeholder interviews and landscape scan, we also conduct empirical customer research to understand your customer needs and behavior. We then synthesize the data points and translate nuggets of insight that informs your strategy and experience that brings business results. From a client standpoint, we work with leading Canadian brands in various sectors, helping them innovate or enhance customer experiences through the digital means. And the last thing I wanted to share with you on Delvinia is our capabilities. To the left are tools and platforms that fuel our consulting practices in strategy and customer experience listed on the right-hand side. Our platform and tools include a proprietary online research community called Asking Canadians, where we conduct consumer research on behalf of our clients as well as independently. In today's webinar, I will be sharing some of the fresh insights we collected about e-commerce through Asking Canadians. We also have other insight tools that fuel our strategy and experience consulting practice. One of my favorite tools is the customer journey maps, where we map out the customer's path to purchase in your product category based on consumer research. And I'll share a sample of that artifact with you in the webinar today to bring it to life. So what's shaping e-commerce trends this year? At Delvinia, we believe it's a new customer path to purchase, and let me expand on that. As we know, digital transformed consumers' path to purchase to something that is significantly more complex and nonlinear. In the good old marketing days, marketers will generate awareness and push customers to the store, and once customers at the store, it's pretty much a done deal. But today, it's a lot more complex, as depicted in the customer journey map in front of you. So 4 key things I like to highlight here. One is consumer empowerment. So consumers are empowered today as they now have unprecedented access to information and their peers through things like ratings and reviews and social media. They also take matters into their own hands and actively research their product, compare their options, and so forth. In their path to purchase, they research through multiple channels for each of their purchase decisions and move through them seamlessly. So in other words, they do expect an integrated and consistent experience from brands regardless of which touch point they're at. Finally, consumers are device agnostic. Consumers today are no longer just interacting with brands through their PC, but through multiple digital touch points, including their smartphone and tablets. And here's some supporting stats to give you a sense of the magnitude. So while 60% of Canadians research and buy online, more Canadians cross channels where they research online and buy offline, with 92% of Canadians saying that they research online and buy offline. As we know, mobile adoption has exploded in recent years, with just over half of Canadians owning smartphones and a quarter of them owning tablets. And with those adoption, 20% of Canadians told us that they use their mobile device as part of their shopping journey. The other thing I wanted to share with you is 73% of Canadians use customer reviews and rating as part of their purchase journey. It's the second most sought after piece of information for online product research, just after price. The other thing to keep in mind is the showrooming phenomenon. You may have heard this in the news last year, where Target and Walmart stopped carrying Amazon's Kindle because they were essentially being used as Amazon showrooms, where consumers would come into their store, touch and feel the product, consult their sales staff, and then leave the store, go to Amazon.com, and buy the product at a lower price. Many Canadian retailers we talked to are also experiencing this challenge. And based on a study conducted by Harris Interactive during the 2012 holiday shopping season, 41% of U.S. shoppers admitted that they practice showrooming. In Canada, showrooming is an even more challenging phenomenon, because not only do e-retailers have a price advantage because they do not need to invest in physical presence and sales staff, but because the Canadian consumer can now shop more and more with e-commerce brands south of the border, where there's a greater price disparity. On average, Canadians are already paying 20% more than their American counterparts. and now layering in the greater price difference with the American e-retailers really aggressively going after Canadian consumers. So one thing we're seeing in the market is that retailers are combating that with price matching. We don't necessarily think that's the best approach or a sustainable approach, so it's certainly something that we as an industry need to look at and to see how we could help retailers overcome this challenge. And lastly, in painting the picture of the consumer landscape, e-retailers, particularly leading brands like Amazon and eBay, are actively looking for ways to mitigate barriers around fulfillment. They're testing and rolling out things like free shipping, same-day delivery, pickup depots like Amazon Locker, and Amazon recently rolled out Amazon Prime. For those that don't know, this is an offer where by paying a flat rate of $79 for the year, you get free 2-day shipping for your orders, regardless of order frequency and order size. So the new consumer landscape, new consumer path to purchase. So these are the new consumer landscape and the new consumer path to purchase that's shaping e-commerce trends. So in terms of key e-commerce trends, what we're seeing at Delvinia is these 5 key things, and I'll unpack each one of you for the remainder of the webinar. The first trend is around advice-driven commerce. So in addition to a product-centric approach, we're seeing retailers adding the advice dimension of selling, where they're helping customers understand what they need first. So for example, Home Depot offers an option called Know-How, where customers can acquire instructions for their home renovation projects as seen on the left-hand side. And by clicking on the Materials and Tool button, they'll get a shopping list of items they need in order to complete the project. Advice-based selling is important when you're selling complex products and services, particularly when the customer do not know where to start and require a lot of education up front. This is certainly familiar territory for many of Delvinia's clients in the financial service space, such as RBC. The second trend I want to share with you is around social sharing. Earlier, we talked about the importance of peer opinions in the consumer's path to purchase and the fact that 73% of Canadians use customer ratings and review as part of their shopping journey. So here's an example of how one retailer, Shop.ca, leveraged that. As you can see in their design interface, sharing is equally visible to buying. And not just so, Shop.ca also reward consumers for sharing the products that they're looking at. Taking it one step further, Skull Candy leveraged their fans to sell on their behalf by teaming up with a chat platform called Needle, which connects prospects with fans via live chat. So with this tactic, Skull Candy provided prospects with authentic advice that they can trust, but more importantly, it improved their conversion by 20%. The third trend I'd like to share with you today is around channel blending. As we discussed in the new consumer path to purchase, consumers use multiple channels in their decision-making process. And with mobile devices, consumers can access e-commerce while they're at the store. So here's an example of how Walmart USA supports a consumer's path to purchase through channel blending. Their shopping app is geofenced. In other words, when consumers enter the store arena, the location-aware app will prompt them to enter store mode. For example, you can scan the product and get richer product information and customer ratings and reviews while you're in the store through the e-commerce engine, so that they don't need to bother the sales staff. And that's an example of how online is supporting offline shopping. On the flip side, if there's an item out of stock in the store, consumers can scan the product code on the shelf and order it directly on Walmart.com, preventing Walmart from losing that customer to other retailers. And to give evidence to channel blending, Walmart revealed that 12% of their online sales are made through Walmart's smartphone app, while customers are still in the store. Here's another example of channel blending on Home Depot. They enable customers to specify which store to shop from in their e-commerce environment. This makes a lot of sense for a retailer where pickup is a popular option, because typically when customers have pickup in mind, they typically know which store they'd be picking up from. And lastly, on the channel blending topic, pure plays are getting into the physical space in an attempt to make it easier for customers to receive their packages. Amazon has rolled out the Amazon Locker in the States, where it is accessible through stores like Radio Shack, Staples, and convenience stores as well. While Amazon lockers are not available in Canada, BufferBox is a solution that started here in Waterloo and available to Canadians, and you might have even seen some of them at the train station or GO Transits. What's even more interesting is that Google recently purchased BufferBox in their move to build up their e-commerce presence. So while this is not a new problem in the market in terms of solving delivery issues, the model would likely continue to transform. What stands out for me is that big online brands are now behind solving this problem. The fourth trend I'd like to share with you is that we're moving into a mobile-first era. A few years back, Gartner forecast that 2013 will be the tipping point where mobile browsing exceeds that of PC-based browsing, and 2015 will be the tipping point for e-commerce to m-commerce. At the time, it was very hard for people to grasp the concept, but we're really seeing it come true today. From what I see, mobile traffic is somewhere between 18 to 30% of overall traffic today, depending on demographic of the client's target audience. And south of the border, Walmart also forecasted before the holidays that 40% of Walmart.com's total traffic will come from mobile. They haven't released the post-holiday stats yet, but I'm thinking it's not too far off. So as brick and mortar increasingly turn into showrooms and advice center in the omni-channel mix, mobile becomes an integral part of the experience, support and bridge the experience into another channel in the customer's path to purchase. We saw Apple Store leading that trend in turning its brick and mortar location into more of a showroom and advice center with their Apple Geniuses. On the financial service front, Indirect introduces physical presence by focusing that presence as an advice center and community space, using tablets to support the experience. And here's another example from Home Depot. By this time, you probably figure out that I'm a fan of what Home Depot is doing to support a customer's path to purchase. To the left, they provide features to support out-of-store or at-home self-service, where consumers can figure out what they need in order to complete a home renovation project and take down the right measurements accurately through the supplied calculators. To the right are in-store support features where, similar to the Walmart app, consumers can self-serve and get their product questions answered by identifying a product through scanning or typing in the product code or even by voice. What I like about this is not only do they remove barriers for consumers to buy, the self-service aspects also enable your store staff to focus on higher value services. The last trend I'd like to share with you is being at the right place at the right time by leveraging customer data. Here's a couple of pragmatic examples. To the left, well.ca sends your personalized emails based on what is left in your shopping cart. To the right, Canadian Tire alerts customers when a product on their wish list is going on sale. Delvinia has also worked with its client in leveraging data and improving conversion. So for example, in working with our client Manulife, we know that travel insurance is a last-minute purchase for travelers, so we geofence travel insurance presence at major Canadian airports to target travelers at the right time. As another example, on a project with Wall Street Journal, we learned through our insights work that their target audience is highly concentrated in the Bay Street area. So we targeted their prospects through a location-based online acquisition campaign and yielded click-through rate 100 times more than normal online media buy. So these are the key e-commerce trends we see at Delvinia for 2013. So the key question to ask is, how do you remove customer barriers to convert with you? In other words, how do you empower your customers, particularly keeping in mind the importance of peer opinion? What is the role of e-commerce in your customer's path to purchase? And how and through which channel and platforms do you support your customers through each stage of their purchase journey? At Delvinia, our take is that you start with understanding the new customer path to purchase, which is very different from what they would behave 3 to 5 years ago. And that brings me to the end of the webinar. I'd like to thank you for your time and hand things back to Tenzing.
Thanks, Ross. That was very insightful. Great presentation. At this point, we do have a few questions, and I guess we'll just jump right into the Q&A. The first question we have here is for you, Roz. And the question is, should retailers provide unique experiences for smartphones and tablets?
Well, I guess the answer is it depends. So, for example, if the research, for example, if the research component requires them to be very mobile, like in the Home Depot example, then they may want to consider something different. But if the customer path to purchase, regardless of which device they go through, is very, very similar, then it may not be worth investing in different experiences.
Okay, that's great. I do have another question here for you. And basically, at our organization, we have debates on whether to create shopping apps or provide a mobile optimized browser experience. What is your take on that?
Well, we hear that question a lot as well with our clients. Certainly, mobile optimized browsing experience and apps each have its advantages and disadvantages. So with mobile browsing, for example, you could utilize responsive design techniques, so you really only have one application to manage, whether it's for PC experience or smartphone experience. In terms of app, there's a lot of native functionality like product code scanning, using the camera feature, location-based functionality like we had shown in the Walmart one. That would require an application. So the bottom line is starting with your understanding your customer path to purchase before you make those decisions.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. Randy, I believe the next question is for you. What advantages does Tenzing provide clients who choose to outsource hosting their e-commerce site?
Okay, thanks, Rola. So whether you're supporting your own code or leveraging one of the powerful high-end e-commerce platforms like Intershop or ATG or IBM or others, it is a different kind of demanding environment that is not typical for a lot of companies doing other things in IT. So there's a lot of intricacy around how the infrastructure is set up, how it interacts with the application, how it's integrated to other applications in the e-commerce ecosystem, et cetera. So I think probably some of the advantages, and one of the biggest ones is this is our business. We eat, live, and breathe this stuff every day. And one of the value propositions of outsourcing hosting in general is that instead of worrying about the applications, the operating system layer, and the middleware, and all of those good things, you actually can focus on improving your customer's experience, helping generate more sales, and doing things in IT that are not related to what we do. So there's definitely an advantage there. In terms of infrastructure at a higher level, certainly, we have 3 data centers that are, 24/7, highly resilient when it comes to, power, cooling, all of those things. And sometimes those are difficult to get that same level of redundancy and resiliency internally. Another big one is expertise. Whether you're looking for application-specific expertise around the e-commerce platform, or you're looking for a company to work with your system integrator, those are things that we're really, again, focused on each and every day and have vast experience across hundreds of customers doing. And I think when you add all of those up, and you look at the ROI and the dollars involved, what you'll find typically is a cost-effective solution in terms of the financials as well.
That's great. Thanks, Randy. Roz, I have another question for you here.
Okay.
We already have an e-commerce presence and do not have a plan to overhaul the site. Does Delvinia offer optimization services?
Yes, absolutely. We realize that not every organization is in a position to start from scratch, given the significant investment and legacy. A lot of times we just look at components of it, and for e-commerce clients in particular, a lot of the time we actually look at the very back end, the conversion part of things in terms of the customer experience, and open up the bottom of the sales funnel for them. So services that we have in that area would include expert review of the experience itself, We also conduct both in-person and remote user testing, in which we could learn from true customers of our clients in terms of what kind of barrier are they running into in order to convert, and then removing those barriers with them.
That's great. Thanks very much. Randy, I believe we have one final question, and it's for you. How does Tenzing work with a systems integrator?
That's a good question, a very specific question, I'm assuming. Just for clarity, a lot of our clients on the e-commerce side tend to work with systems integrators who help them set up their e-commerce store, particularly if it's a platform, and integrate it, and then sometimes manage it from a support aspect later on. So that is a key role for many of the larger e-commerce clients that we have. And one of the things that we did a few years ago, when we actually researched this segment and decided we wanted to be in e-commerce full tilt, is we did a lot of surveying of our clients and e-commerce customers and prospects and partners. And one of the first and most important things that people came back to us and said is that they are always challenged with finger pointing when there's application performance issues, for example. They couldn't figure out if it's the application, if it's the hosting, whether they do it internally or with someone else. There's a lot of gray zone oftentimes in that arena. So we recognized very early on that working with a system integrator is probably one of the most important things we do with our clients around e-commerce. When you get past availability, performance, and security, those sort of foundational pieces. So what we've done over the years is, we have good relationships with most of the system integrators across platforms. We know who they are, they know who we are. And what we've really done is develop a lot of the process between our two organizations and the client organization, things like RACI charts, which, if you don't know that acronym, is sort of an accountability matrix of who does what when, under what conditions. So I think what we've learned is it's all about clear definition up front during the deployment or during the engagement with the client and the SI to really help everybody understand clearly what the process is, how to follow the process, and really work hand in hand, and I would say hand in hand because the client's involved in making sure that the system is performing optimally.
Thanks very much, Randy. That's great. Well, that's all the time we have today. So I'd like to thank everyone for joining today. I hope everyone found the session to be insightful. The session has been recorded and it will be posted to our website at www.tenzing.com. So if you'd like more information, please feel free to contact us directly or visit our website. That being said, we hope to see you all again soon. Thanks so much for your time. Roz, if you're still there, do you want to hand the reins back over to